We will start now. Thank you very much for everybody who are present. And let me greet Professor Miklós Marut, who is just joined, who joined us just at this moment. And let me introduce the two colleagues by my side. Professor László Lénárd. He is the president of the Page Committee of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and he was and is very helpful for the program because this program is partly that of the Page Committee of the Academy. And on the other side of me, Professor Attila Micheta, he is the rector of the university and the CLIR Research Center, and also this program belongs from the beginnings to the university. So let me greet both of you. Thank you very much. And then we should start now. And please, some greetings, some words from you all. At first, Professor Marut.
A pleasure. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to me to introduce this important meeting and to greet the participants on behalf of the Union Académique Internationale and the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. I have to begin with the importance of this conference. The importance of this conference depends on two factors. The first one is the topic, the subject of the conference. The subject is the Roman limes. The Roman limes was the defense line of the Roman Empire against the invasion of the barbarian tribes, which were situated to the east from this line. Those were mainly tribes of Iranian origin. This line defended the Roman culture and the Roman state against the unordered and uncivilized barbarian tribes. So it can be compared only to the Great Wall in China. So this is the first factor. And the second one is the participants. The participants come from various countries, and it was always an aim, it was the basic aim of the Union Académique Internationale to unite researchers for different countries in one common research topic. And this research topic is important from point of view of European history. Because the barbarian tribes that invaded the Roman Empire, they destroyed the neighboring territories first, but they reached the Iberian Peninsula as well and reached North Africa. So one cannot say that what happened here at the limes, the Roman limes in Pannonia, it remained without effect to the remaining parts of the Roman Empire. So the topic of this conference is important from point of view of the European history, from point of view of the European culture, and even from point of view of the ethnogenesis of later European nations, because as we know, the invading tribes either settled down in territories like Pannonia or in the other countries, or if we speak of the German invasion or Gothic invasion of European countries, they were who later established a lot of European countries. For example, France, even France has the name of a German tribe. And my favorite cities in Europe, Barcelona. Barcelona was ruled for a long time by the Visigothic tribes. So the barbarians who had an access to Europe later played an important role in the establishment of the medieval Europe. So the limes is, to be short, limes is a very important part of the European history. So this conference is devoted to this decisive question. And I wish you success to your conference.
Thank you very much, Professor Marot, not only for this short speech and introducing, but also for your your steady help and support to create and enhance this CLIR program in the framework or in the frame of the Union Académique Internationale. Thank you again, and now, please. Professor László Lénárd.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen and dear colleagues. This is a great privilege to me to open this very important meeting. I am very sorry that you are not present physically here in this building. You were asking what kind of building is it? And this is the house of the Pécs branch of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. This meeting is very important for us because this is a fruit of our cooperation. As Dr. Vishy mentioned, the CLIR Center here in Pécs was founded and supported by the Pécs University and the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. So this Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani, this is a very important creature, and this is, as I see, had many meetings before. Now in Pécs, which is an ancient capital of South Pannonia called Sopiane. So we are in the right place if we are talking about the Roman Empire. I think the Roman Empire still influences our life. And how to say, this was much bigger than the European Union. And Dr. Miklós Marot mentioned that the limes was longer than the Great Chinese Wall, if we include, you know, the north of Africa, etc. So still we are influenced by the Roman law system and communication, merchandise and others. And I think that this is very important to remember for such things. As far as the limes is concerned, we are very lucky that we have a pretty long part of the limes here in Hungary. But I would say that maybe this is not a secret, that Zsolt Vishy made and makes excavations also in Transylvania. He has a very, how to say, very kind place called Énlaka. It's a little village in Transylvania when there's some parts of the limes has been excavated as well. So I think it's very important for us to remember for the late Roman Empire. And here in Pécs, I hope that one day you will come here personally and to see the miracles of Pécs dated back to the Roman Empire, among others, you know, the ancient early Christian cemetery, which is the World Heritage of UNESCO here. I would like to especially greet the foreigner participants from Zagreb, Barcelona, North Carolina, and Bordeaux. And really, I think that your participation highly increased the quality of today's meeting. And I wish to you a very successful scientific meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Lénárd. And now let me invite Professor Miseta, the director of the Pécs University, to say something to the conference.
Welcome, everyone. It is really a sorry situation that you cannot come here right now due to the circumstances. But anyhow, we improved a lot regarding the telecommunication skills during the past year, primarily due to the COVID situation. Nevertheless, just to connect to what Professor Lénárd said, we are hoping to see you here during the next year, perhaps, whenever it is possible physically, to hold a conference. And as a medical doctor and director of the University of the Page, I really do think that we should be very proud of hosting such an institution like CLIR. And I'm also very happy that an active international collaboration is taking place regarding the Roman limes. Quite frankly, I came to attach to history very early on because I was a fellow who was quite decent in mathematics and biology and physics, not to mention chemistry, but I also very much interested in history, especially the Roman history. So I was very glad to learn that such kind of activity is taking place at the University of Page. And even more occasional contact was that in the little village where I was raised, actually, I used to go out with a friend of mine who introduced me a part of the Roman limes. That particular Roman fortress was called Jovia. In present Hungary, it is at so-called Alsó-Hetén puszta, vagy Felső-Hetén, a kettőt már keverem. Alsó-Hetén puszta. And quite frankly, we used to hunt for Roman pieces for money because after the rain came, it is now an agriculturally cultivated area and very little physical remains are visible there. But after the rains, we just young guys used to scout the area and pick up pieces of Valentinian, very unvaluable pieces usually, but there were a couple of silver coins as well. But anyhow, it was, I'm pretty sure, not inappropriate even at that time, but not regulated when I was young. Unfortunately, it happened several decades ago. But going back to the point, I'm very proud of this organization and I wish you a successful meeting. And I just hope to see you sometimes here in Page. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Miceta. You were very kind to us, to the Roman predecessors and the Roman monuments and history. And I am proud that you know the place, Alsó-Hetén puszta, where the Roman town Jovia existed in the Roman times. We do hope that some excavation could be find some important parts of this town soon. A friend of mine and an earlier student, Dr. Berto, who is now the director of the Page Museum, made some investigation there in Jovia-Hetén puszta some 10 years ago or so, and he could identify exactly the structure of the town using some aerial photographs. Thank you very much. And now let us start with our program. According to the program, I gave you some preliminary words about the CLIR program under the title, The Development of the CLIR Research Program. I think that the present occasion, this, sorry to say, online conference is a milestone in the history of the CLIR program and maybe also in the development of the international research of the frontiers of the Roman Empire. Many thanks for your presence and interest. As all similar enterprises, also CLIR has its history. Allow me to go back to the beginnings. As a young archaeologist, I have joined to the team of the Intercizam, at that time Dunai Város Museum, in 1967 to participate in the excavations running in the territory of the Roman cemetery of Intercizam. The reasons for these investigations were the steady growth of Dunaui Város above Roman intercision and the need to reinforce the edge of the high Lősz plateau above the Danube. During more than 15 years, I excavated thousands of graves, remains of military vehicles around the fortification and important structures of the auxiliary fort. The huge archaeological material, the need for its systematization compelled me and other scholars working on similar projects in Aquincum and in other sites to establish a common platform. It became clear for me as I started to work on military history and the distribution of troops stationed in the province and in the empire, at first with publication and evaluation of military diplomas. It was evident for us that the development of the limes of Pannonia can be explained only through a common harmonized work. Of course, there had been made significant research in the epigraphy and in the wide range of archaeology on an international level. And since 1949, as Professor Eric Burley established a series of the International Limes Congresses, there was a regular platform for changing views and present new research results in every 4 or 5 years. At first, I made attempts to systematize the auxiliary troops recorded on military diplomas and other inscriptions, but I could realize soon that a more sophisticated system would be needed. In these years, only the different types of the punch card systems were known and used in Hungary, and I became step by step familiar with them. By the end of the year 1973, I have developed a complex system for the Roman archaeological material by applying the A5 edge-punched cards showing 2 levels of notching. It was able to comprise features of all types of settlements, buildings, and different other built structures, and those of the wide range of archaeological material, including inscriptions. This slide is to show the system of notching, how to input 10 different features in 8 holes, ordered in 2 rows. For 1, 2, 4, and 7, you had to cut through the 2 holes. For the other 6 numbers, always 2, but only the outer ones. Maybe you can understand or you know this system, but for help, it is here to see. The next slide, you can see the original limes database system prepared by me in 1974. It was successfully applied in taking the inventory at the Intercaesar Museum. For the sites, for the different archaeological things, finds, ceramics, and so on, and so on. I benefited from it in my research on the basis for emperor statues or on the rural settlements in Pannonia Inferior. It is the system now, what you can see here. And also extra for the military units. This slide shows my work on the emperor statues and on the rural settlements. In the 90s, one could start with the computers in the Hungarian archaeology, and there were several attempts to modernize and computerize the existing limes database. It could be made step by step with limited success because the financing of the hardware and software, as well as of experts on informatics, was a hard task. But it was made somehow. At this moment, arose the idea to create an Union Académique Internationale program for the international research of the Roman frontiers. The CLIR program was supported by the Pécs Committee of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, the University of Pécs. For his initiation and kind support, I owe my gratitude to Miklós Marót and the presidency of the Union Académique Internationale that adopted the program in 2010-2011. Let me read some sentences from the proposal. Military history and the frontier defense of the Euro Empire are almost synonymous. Together with the history of the army, they form the backbone of historical research on the Roman Empire. Works by Latin and Greek authors, tens of thousands of inscriptions, and a rapidly increasing amount of archaeological data provide a solid base to investigate and describe the history of the Limes Romanus. Taking into account all the scientific work done and considering the broad international interest on synchronized and common effort and a systematic evaluation of all investigations of the Roman frontiers in the future, it should be a high priority to create a common platform to prepare a scientific catalogue of the Limes Romanus. The best way to do so is to establish a corpus under the umbrella of the Union Académique Internationale. The Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani from Augustus to the end of the Western Roman Empire. From the point of view of the Limes Romanus, not only the exact frontier lines should be included with its changes over time, but also the frontier provinces with all inner fortifications, military sites, and installations. Roman military sites beyond the frontiers also belong the subject. CLIR is planned as a catalogue and a comprehensive study of the military sites of the Roman frontiers. A great number of monographs and series have been published. The masterpiece remains the Obergermanisch-Rätische Limes, but in the past, as in the present, a systematic work prepared and written according to a common structure about the whole Limes Romanus is still missing. CLIR should fill this gap. The main target of the project is to enhance international research of the Limes Romanus and to publish its elements on a common and coordinated basis. To achieve these goals, the following are to be considered and executed. To prepare a list of the Limes sites. The built Limes structures, wall, palisade, ditch, and so on. Temporary, permanently used forts and fortifications, fortlets, towers, and other small military sites, military roads. Then, to create an international database for proper organization of the material. Then, to publish a series of monographs at the national and international levels, So in each sector of the Roman frontiers according to the ancient or modern borders, on the military network of the frontier provinces, on the military sites. The Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani has been adopted as the 79th international research program of the Union Académique Internationale, the first program proposed by Hungary since 1919, its foundation in Paris. Some years later, the numbering was slightly changed, since CLIR is the 18th scientific program of Union Académique Internationale. The CLIR database could be enhanced and brought to a more sophisticated level after this step. Here are some slides showing this process. The first conference on the CLIR program was held in 2011 in Pécs, under participation of scholars from many countries, and also later conferences gave floor for this program in Hungary and abroad. This conference was held also in the same building as we are now. Research on the Ripa Pannonica is an ongoing program of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, the universities, the National Museum, and other museums. the scientific team at the University of Pécs. In the course of this work, many new military sites and structures have been identified. In the years 2017-2018, the international CLIR database has been made ready, extended also to incorporate the required information on the World Heritage nomination of the Danube limes. However, the CLIR database needs further work in order to answer any requirement. The list of the limes sites is to be prepared by the participating members and institutes. Here are some slides, some conferences had regarding CLIR and other conferences where the CLIR was subject of the conferences. The list of the limes sites is to be prepared by the participating member institutes. In this regard, it is of great value that the World Heritage nomination of the limes Romanus is under preparation in all European countries that have shorter or longer sectors of it. The systematization of the limes sites have been made in Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, and are running in Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Romania. The last 4 countries applied the administrative version of the CLIR database in their common World Heritage nomination file making. New archaeological investigations, area reconnaissance, geophysics, any kind of field work, including excavation, are and have been planned and executed in order to gain more and detailed data for the different types of the limes sites. A lot of field survey and more excavations were made in Hungary, like in the marching camps in the region of Brigetio, in Intercisa, and in a watchtower in Kisapostag, and excavation in the auxiliary forts of Nyergesúlyfalu and Kölked. Similar activities are running also in the other countries of the Danube provinces. This research was published newly by us, by the CLIR institution here in Pécs. The World Heritage Sites of the limes. 1987, the inscription of the Hadrian's Wall in the United Kingdom in the list. 1999, Zsolt Visinyi initiated to create a single World Heritage Site encompassing all the frontiers of the Roman Empire in Europe, the Near East, and North Africa. Following this property had been renamed Frontiers of the Roman Empire in 25. So the Hadrian Walls became part of the FRA. 2005, the inscription of the Upper German Rhaetian limes. 2008, inscription of the Antonine Wall in the United Kingdom. 2011, the first nomination dossier of the Ripa Pannonica in Hungary made by Hungary and Slovakia. 18, submission of the Frontiers of the Roman Empire, Danube limes West nomination to the World Heritage Center. And I just know that it was supported now, and in July it can be part of the World Heritage list. An important step could be made in 2019 with the establishing of the CLIR International Research Center based on a contract signed by the Prime Minister Office, the University of Pécs, and the Pécs Committee of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, with financial support of the Hungarian state. At present, the CLIR Research Center is supported by the University of Pécs and the Pécs Committee of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. In the last decade, some solid results could be achieved. Apart from the enhancing and beginning of the uploading, with relevant data, some Hungarian scholars have been worked on different projects related on the program. To the program. Several papers have been published in Pannonian archaeological and epigraphical material in the CLIR program, and 2 monographs are under work. These are Intercis Altinum, with participation of Ferenc Fazekas, Füredica Horváth, Dénes Gabler, and me, Ad Flexum Brigatio, Arabona, Ad Mures, by Silvia Biro and Dénes Gabler. Intensive work has been started on the catalogs and the evaluation of them in Hungary and in Romania. Dr. Korian Opreanu, director of the Institute of Archaeology and Art History of the Academia Romana in Cluj-Napoca, has published 2 monographs in its CLIR program. The other countries have started the work, but thanks to Professor Mirjana Sanader, Croatia could make relevant activity in the description of the research and excavations, the evaluation of the finds, the elaboration of the chronology, and in cataloging the different finds with evaluation. Yep, just a moment. A strong cooperation is to be developed with other Union Académique Internationale programs, especially with Tier 4, Tabula Imperii Romani, Forma Orbis Romani, with the Barrington Atlas of the Greek and Roman world, with the ILLIR Atlas, with the collections of the Greek and Latin inscriptions, and with those of the archaeological finds that do not make it necessary to incorporate inscriptions and mobile archaeological finds into CLIR database in detail, only in general, together with their evaluation. For a better cooperation and for more sophisticated work on the CLIR program, I think it would be of great benefit for us to create a scientific board comprising leading scholar or leading scholars from every participating country: Austria, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Romania. Allow me to return to this topic at the end of this meeting. And now here are some publications by us. In the center above, you can see the Danube Limes nomination submitted in 2018 to Paris, to the Center of the World Heritage Committee. Thank you very much. Thank you again. And now I give the floor Gergő István Farkas, PhD. He will speak about the CLIR database at the present moment and now how it is. So please, Gergő, start your lecture.
Following moments, I'm going to speak about the database that the CLIR Research Center at Pécs has been developing. Now, this research center it goes back to a long history. It's been existent for several decades, as Professor Zsolt Vishy put it. There was a formal inauguration in 2019, and since then we have done the following tasks. We have conducted excavations at the already mentioned site of Énlaka in Transylvania, in present-day Romania, where we have conducted excavations on 2 ditches of an auxiliary fort. And we have also there were also students from the University of Pécs and from various other universities in Romania who have participated in this excavation. And we have also had a series of presentations. Some were for the public, some were for an academic circle. We have collaborated with a lot of cultural institutions in the city of Pécs. We have tried to make a lot of involvement in the cultural life of our city. And we have also published some new books. Alongside the volumes that Professor Vishy presented, we have published this book in late 2019, and this includes about 44 authors and 35 articles. This is a very extensive book which is still available. If you're interested in a hardcover copy, please let us know or let me know after this presentation. And we have also hosted a number of conferences. This was the Danube Limes workshop that we hosted in 2019. And the results of these works have been published in a separate volume. Now, we not just organize conferences and publish volumes, but we also do a lot of field work. I mean, we worked as a low-budget research center, and for us, the cutting-edge technologies were our only source to make a novelty, to make an amendment to the Limes research. And so we have tried to use digital and 3D technologies. We didn't have a lot of hardware, so what we used are an RTK drone, which is using real-time kinematic for high precision accuracy, and we did modeling. We had several free-to-use software, and this is how we try to contribute to the work on the Limes. These are the sites that we have visited over the course of the last 2 years, and we have conducted models, we made digital terrain elevation maps, field walks, metal detector surveys, and a lot of photos of these sites. As you can see, we concentrated in the region of Pécs, but not exclusively, because we have also traveled to the northern regions of Hungary and did work there, collaborating with the respective local authorities and museums. We have also organized scientific conferences. Last year, we did the virtual Young Researchers of the Roman Era conference, which was actually a big success. It was a single-day online conference, and we have published the findings of this conference. Well, actually, they are on the way, but we're working on that. And this is our latest volume, which is still available for download, and it is also available as a hardcover copy. And there were 12 authors who participated in this book. Now, regarding my own research, I also do 3D photography and highlight reflectance transformation imaging, which is a special technique used for enhancing the readability of various epigraphical and sculpted monuments of the Roman era. My research topic is Latin epigraphy, so this is the topic I'm most acquainted with, and this is where I can add some novelties to previous epigraphical research. And now, getting on to the topic of the CLIR database. Basically, what you have to know about it, the site is already available at http://clir.hu. You can free to visit, and it has a guest surface, so you don't need any registration to see most of the features of this database. However, if you would like to edit or add new data or see some user-sensitive data, for example, the exact location and extension of sites, you have to have a registration. You can contact either Professor Zsolt Vishy or myself or my colleagues, and we will grant you access to this database if you're interested. I encourage everyone to try to use this database, because I know there are a lot of archaeological databases, and everybody thinks that their database is the best, which is of course a good point, but I think right now we have reached a point where we should stop making new databases and we should try to integrate existing systems together. And this has been one of the most important points of the Ariadne framework, to try to organize this vast amount of archaeological databases. And this is what we're trying to do now. There are many ways to develop a database, and as you can see, Professor Vishy has several decades experience in interpreting how to translate an archaeological site and all its complexity, all the uncertainties into an actual database, because you can't just start adding fields and adding values. You have to have a concept on how you would like to wish it to work. What would you like to do with this database? These are the most important questions that an IT person or a software developer is going to ask an archaeologist. And we really had to think about it. What we're going to do with this database, how we're going to use it, what results would we like to see, and how would it make our work and everybody else's work more easier. And we have come up with this solution after more than a year of testing and trial and a lot of debate and a lot of discussions. and of course a lot of disagreements, which is good because this was not a very linear procedure, but it was a really complex journey. We had a lot of backtracking, rethinking, so this is why I'm very positive that this is a good database, because we had to redesign it several times, and now I'm very convinced that if I would have to delete this and sit down and do a database all over again, I would pretty much do it the same way. So I think this is the way, and it's pretty useful for everything. Now, the main system of this database, what Professor Vichy has presented, and what we're using now at the moment, it boils down to 3 levels. It has a site level, a site component level, and a component part level. Now, these are just technical terms. These help to get a sense of how or where a certain archaeological feature should be given into the database. This is for the user only. For example, just to give you an example of what we're thinking about, because these are some complex sites. For example, some sites are just a single watchtower, which is very small, very simple. And there are some complex sites, for example, an entire town or an entire fort, which has a lot of buildings, and all those buildings have different phases and different rooms, and those rooms have different interpretations, so you're not always clear on what you're excavating at the moment of the excavation. So this database gives you a tool, gives you a possibility to record these uncertainties. And I think this is one of the reasons, because it's so flexible compared to a wide range of databases, is why you should use it. Getting back to our example, for example, the site is the entire fort. It encompasses everything that belongs to that fort. The site component can be a well-defined building within this fort, and the component part can be a feature or a room or a substructure within this building that we have selected. And this system enables you to record sites to a very great detail. So we're not just thinking about, okay, you have a fort, it's a polygon and it's a centroid, and there you have it, it's a fort, your fort is complete. No, you can, if you wish, you can upload all the buildings in your fort, or all the features, defensive ditches, defensive structures. For example, here I give you a picture of a Roman town, which is one site, and all the buildings in this town are separate site components, and all the rooms in this building, in the single building in the city, are different component parts. And for example, in this room, there is a kiln. That kiln is also a component part. And if you want to record different archaeological features or layers or strata into this database, you can do this. And also you can see this schematic here in the lower left corner. This just gives you an overview on how complex this site or this tool can be. So this is the groundwork of our database. The same structure is also complemented with a geoinformatics system component, the GIS component. We have a map module in this database. So for all these features and all these archaeological data, you can upload a polygon if you wish, of course. We are very aware that there are some sites, for example, there are still ongoing excavations, or there are some threats of illegal metal detecting activity or agriculture or anything else. Obviously, in those cases, you don't want to upload anything, but the possibility is there. For example, if you have a public site which is already protected, it has already a museum and is overseen, and there is no chance of anything being destroyed, you can upload it into this database. We also have a special system of connecting different parts of this database. For example, if you want to see that there is a baths building in a vicus, and there is a Principia building in the auxiliary fort near the vicus. Now these buildings are separate. They belong to different parts, different sites, but they share some characteristics. For example, they have the same building technique, or both are built of stones, or both share the same layout or a similar function. you can group different parts of the database together using these features, and you can have a very complex query. And this is where the scientific part of this database comes into the front. What Professor Vishy has been saying is that you can use this to help your research. If you want to list different buildings that have a certain set of features, you don't have to check up on the archaeological reports, on the excavation reports from all over the empire or from all over the province, which is a very time-consuming work. You can use our database, which includes most of the sites, and hopefully in the future it will include every site that has ever been published or will be published or will get out of the gray literature. So this is how it will be used. Now, just a short slide or detour on how we acquired the data for these polygons. We used a real-time kinematic drone or a real-time kinematic total station, and this is how we have geodetic accuracy for most of these polygons. Of course, we also received some polygons. There were also some polygons that were drawn by hand. So the accuracy of these topographical features varies. And the aim of this database is just to give an overview of these different features. This is not a 100% accurate site. So it's not meant for digitalizing archaeological features or digitalizing individual finds for giving them their exact 3D location. This is more of just a help to see where this site is located and see what kind of parts it has and how it is pieced together. For a technical standpoint, we have three types of GIS features. We have points, which is pretty straightforward. These are the centroid points of a site. We have polylines. For example, if we have checks like walls, ditches, or roads, something that has an extension but is defined as a line, we use a polyline. And for everything else, we use polygons to cover an area, to give you a sense of the vastity or the area of the site. And of course, we use bottom to top hierarchy, so all the details are on the top and all the major sites are on the bottom, so it's clear to overview. We developed this system, and of course, as I mentioned before, map visibility is based on user role. So as a guest, you cannot see the exact location of all the sites. You have to be either a researcher or an editor or an administrator. You have to have access to the database to see the exact site. So we are trying to protect the sites this way. We have, as Professor Vishy said, there is an extensive typology and extensive list of features concerning all of these sites. You can describe these buildings through various aspects, and it's very difficult to give you a sense of how many different types of data we're handling. I'm just going to give you an example from my research topic, which is epigraphy. Maybe it will enlighten how complex and how adaptable this database is. For example, take a single funerary slab. Okay, you can see it has different type of features. It has material. Does it have an inscription or not? If it has an inscription, what kind of inscription does it have? How was this inscription created? Was it created by carving or painting or littera aurea or any other method? Does it have any decorations? If it has, what sort of decorations does it have? Or if it has any epigraphical features like connected letters, some separators, some unknown features, you can see that there is a vast complexity here, and we try to translate it into a different set of hierarchies. In informatics term, this is called a taxonomy. It is a very extensive list of features that we have organized based on their types or based on a simple logic. For example, you can see, okay, the material here is limestone, but you can see that the material can be organic or inorganic. It can be, if it's inorganic, it can be a stone. If it's a stone, it can be a hard stone, soft stone, etc. And amongst soft stones, only one of these values is limestone. So if you want to select it, you have a very large basin from which to choose from. And of course, this is a stone slab, so these are the data available for it. But if you have a fibula or a brooch or any other or a single pottery shard, you can add these features, the respective features to it. And this gives you the chance to have a very complex description of your archaeological site, an archaeological feature, and a very large set of values if you want to do it. Of course, the database enables uploading the bare minimum, so you can just write in the title, description, location. If that's all there is to know, then it can be done. But also, if you want to give your data depth, if you want to make your data open access or linked or researchable or open for scientific investigation, this database gives you the possibility without the obligation. So you can choose which depth you would like to upload. If somebody is very precise and wants to upload great details, he or she has the chance. If not, then it is also acceptable. There are so many features of this database that I'm not going to list all of them in such great detail because it would take hours and hours, because literally it took years to develop. So 10 minutes or 15 minutes is a very short reach to give you even an overview on the kind of work we have been doing. There is a separate module for recording research history and literature. Basically, it gives you the possibility to record your scientific work. So especially for younger students who would like to see their curriculum sorted, or who would like to have a exportable ready list of the kind of involvement they've been doing, the database also gives you a chance for that. And also, if you would like to oversee somebody's work, you can have an overview on where that person has been involved, what kind of work he's been doing. And to flip it around, if you would like to see a site, you can see all the institutions and all the people who have been working on it. So especially if you're working with a new site, or if you would like data on something, this database can also act as a sort of address book. So it just points you in the general direction of who is responsible for that site and how you can get in contact with him. For literature and bibliography, we use a separate module. This is the Zotero module. It's very flexible. We have a public group, which you can check out in the following link. And it's actually, I think, one of the most flexible, free to use modules. So I recommend it for everyone. And now, just in a short few words, there are going to be some very interesting presentations in the upcoming minutes. And I have taken the liberty to see your databases and just to give you a short heads up on how we think the CLIR database could be connected to other databases. So we're not just stating that, yeah, these databases should be connected. We're also providing a method or an idea of how this should be done. CLIR databases has been designed from the start to be connected with other databases. So we have actually links and IDs where you can give the IDs and links of different databases of the same features. For example, if you have a site and you would like to list it in CLIR, you can just copy your link from your database, paste it into CLIR, and we can have a connection, we can have a reference, we can connect these separate nodes together. And in the future, hopefully, this will be an automatic connection. So we could just, based on name or denomination or location, we could just filter these sites and find which ones are probably the same and should be related. Now, going step by step, starting with the Tabula Imperii Romani, you have a lot of features, pretty much the same fields that we have. So it invites that these databases should be connected in at least in regard of these fields, but maybe many more. For example, all these databases that I have seen, CLIR included, have the ID in the URL, which is very very flexible, and it's one of the best solutions because you can just copy the links and refer to each other, and unless the domain changes, it will always stay the same. So this is a very beneficial method for easily connecting the same site recorded in different databases. Now, ancient name, modern name, municipalities, we didn't use separate fields. We use a different taxonomy for modern name and modern administrative divisions, because CLIR was meant to incorporate sites from several countries, and these countries have different administrative divisions. For example, some countries have a 6-level division. Some smaller countries, for example, Hungary, have a 2 or 3-level division. So we have a system that handles these problems. And if you're interested, we're free to give this up or to give further information on how this should be done. Regarding GIS data, coordinates area, CLIR uses the Mapbox layer, but we use the OSM, the OpenStreetMap data for defining the polygons and the centroids of these modern administrative sites. And we also have a set of markers. So it's very easy to translate. What I'm saying is that these data can be translated in between databases relatively easily. So it really invites connection. Going to the next step is the Pleiades. You can see that we have very much the same structure. Another point that we're at the moment developing in CLIR is handling the creators, updaters, editors of a single node. For example, a site was created by somebody, and later on some other people have contributed to it. There are creators, there are contributors. The system that Pleiades uses is actually a very good one, and we're trying to implement a similar one. So if it would be okay, I would really like to get into contact with you and ask some details. In CLIR, we use a version history or a simple user change log to record different changes. So for example, if somebody makes a change that shouldn't be made, all the previous versions are saved, so it can be referred back to. And regarding all the others, we use also GeoJSON for translating from OSM to Mapbox. So what I'm trying to say is that all these databases that we have seen use pretty much the same, or at least an interchangeable software background. So it really is possible to connect these databases together. And I think it would be in the best interest of all parties to start working together and make a workshop and try to figure out how best sort our data together. And last but not least, the CLIR Atlas database is also a very straightforward system. And from an IT standpoint, it's very inviting. And we could go a long way incorporating data from CLIR to the CLIR Atlas and from the CLIR Atlas to CLIR. So this goes both ways. And now for the last slide, I'm just going to give you some insight into what we're going to do in the future. CLIR Research Center is, the colleagues are working hard at the moment at the University of Pécs, trying to make all ends meet and trying to continue the data upload and the development of this database. We're developing a finds module. So next to the archaeological features, it will also be possible to include individual finds. At first, of course, we're concentrating on more important finds, the ones that are used for dating. And later on, we could also include all other types of finds. And what we're concentrating on, as you have probably gathered by now, is digital methodology. So everything related to digital methods, everything that can be done on a computer, on the field. We're trying to make new technology available at home, trying to be a factor of innovation. And of course, we're collaborating with both national and both international partners. We are participating in summer schools, in workshops. We are very open to sharing our knowledge, our experience. If you have any questions concerning anything that I have said, please feel free to ask. And thank you very much for your kind attention. This was a longer presentation than intended, but please excuse me. This was really a lot to say in such a short time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gergely, for this lecture, very useful for all of us. And now we have to make our step forward. And know that Máté Szabó could not make ready his presentation. I give the floor, better to say, the microphone to Professor Mirjana Sanader to give his presentation, her presentation, the CLIR program in Croatia.
Thank you very much, Professor Vigi. I welcome warmly once again all colleagues and look forward to present today our current work, which can contribute to the research of the frontiers of the Roman Empire. The researchers of the Department of Archaeology of University Zagreb are pleased to be collaborating from the very beginning on the scientific program Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani of the International Academic Center in Peć under the direction of Professor Vigi. I have prepared for this online conference a concise report on our work in recent years. I hope, okay, recent years, as well as this PowerPoint presentation. Parts of the Roman provinces, Pannonia, Dalmatia, and eastern part of 10 Italian regions used to be on the territory of today's Croatia. Limes, one of the most famous defense systems of its kind, also extends through the Croatian territory. However, in the coastal hinterland in the province of Dalmatia, between the Roman sites of Jadar and Salona, that is Burnum and Tellurium, the territory first conquered by the Romans, the existence of an earlier line of defense, the so-called Dalmatian limes, is assumed. The fact is also that the Roman military facilities are, for now, known only in Dalmatia, which I will present on this online conference today. At the beginning, on the early years of our collaboration on the Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani, we reported on the results of archaeological excavation on Tellurium fortress. Now we have gone a step further, which is why I remind that the Romans, as has been considered, raised in Dalmatia 2 fortresses and few forts. In the hinterland of a Roman town Jadar, on the left bank of river Krka, the legendary fortress Burnum was located. In the hinterland of capital of Dalmatia, Salona, on the right bank of river Cetina, the legendary fortress Tellurium was located. Between Burnum and Tellurium, forts Promona, Magnum, and Andetrium are situated, but they are now known only from ancient sources, itineraries, and epigraphic monuments. It has long seemed to experts that the position of the Burnum and Tellurium and the forts between them form a well thought out and intentional built defensive line. Scholars generally accept hypothesis of sort of border, which they call the Dalmatian limes. All these military installations are in the coastal hinterland along the Roman state road, which connect Aquileia, Salona, and Dyrrhachium. However, the existence of 2 legendary fortresses is unquestionable, but the forts are not known only from the sources, which is why we only know the approximate position of these forts. So the exact position has yet to be determined. The reason why their position remained unknown till these days is because they have never been archaeologically attested. It is known primarily based on the ancient literary sources that the territory of Eastern Adriatic was the scenery of two great military conflicts between Rome and the indigenous people, namely Octavian's Illyrian War and Dalmatian Pannonian Rebellion. Although hypotheses of borderline construction were established, mostly based on the premise of defending the conquered territory, experts did not agree about the date, and they also did not agree about the reason of such construction. Scholars have made their conclusions to the study of ancient literary sources, epigraphy, evidence, random finds, mostly numismatic and ceramics, which are dated before the Dalmatian Pannonian Rebellion, predominantly from the time of the late Republic, but also from the exceedingly early Principate. Due to the need to finally determine what was happening in the area between Burnum and Tellurium, we started to work since 2018 on a project that should answer several questions. For successful implementations of reconstruction of the defense system at the presumed border zone, it was first necessary to determine the positions that can be assumed to be military sites and to formulate the structural indicators such as roads, fortresses, forts, watchtowers, ditches, palisades. The idea of the said project is the archaeological confirmation of that defensive line and its dating. Our research started by analyzing all the new archaeological finds, as well as the research results obtained by applying the contemporary archaeological methods. Combinations of all these approaches significantly contributed to bringing us closer to solving these complex issues. For example, ancient itineraries at the Jadar-Salona road route recorded site Promona, Magnum, and Adetrium as a fort. However, only by applying different archaeological research methods we could find the exact position of these forts, which are mentioned in these ancient sources. It is likely also to be possible, as showed by recent experiences, with the same archaeological methods to discover if they exist. The other historical constructions which we are not recorded yet. A major problem for research posed the extensive area of investigation located between rivers Krka and Cetina, which is exceptionally long and narrow, to be exact 71.5 kilometer airline distance long and about 20 kilometers from the Adriatic Sea. To be able to analyze such a vast territory, test areas are selected, namely the surroundings of the fortresses Burnum and Tellurium. We select as well the assumed surrounding of the forts Promona, Magnum, and Adetrium, according to the study of ancient literary sources, epigraphic monuments, as well as analysis of finds out of context. For the identification of possible Roman forts or another kind of structures in the proposed research area, we used various non-destructive research methods. We analyzed and interpreted aerial and satellite photographs, historical and modern maps, and LIDAR scanning. The data obtained by LIDAR scanning have been processed at the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute of Archaeological Prospection and Virtual Archaeology in Vienna, which gave us the unexpected results showing the sites where the existence was never even assumed. Namely, completely unknown building structures like Roman military fortifications. Following these findings, a systematic field survey was conducted in and around these sites in February 2020, which resulted in the selection of the location on which this year, 2021, geophysical survey have been conducted. In addition to all these non-destructive archaeological methods, which confirmed the evidence of historical structure, we consider necessity of archaeological excavation as well, because Only archaeological excavation can ensure the exact dating of record structures. Small finds such as ceramics, coins, glass finds, metal objects, bone objects, and gems unearthed during the excavations are essential for the dating of the layers and structures. Without the analysis of small finds, which are professionally documented during the archaeological excavation, it is not possible to chronologically determine the structures which recorded with the non-destructive techniques. And finally, summarized, our research into the reconstruction of the very first defense line of Eastern Adriatic of the territory stretched from the Burnum to Tellurium by using contemporary and confirmed methodological approach is not yet completed. But our goal in obtaining more extensive answers to questions that are beyond the scope of literary and epigraphical sources was successful. Our hypothesis that such approach could fill the gaps in current knowledge related to the borderline of fortresses and forts stretched from Burnum to Tellurium could offer better understanding the role of this border in the protection not only of Roman conquered territory, but also in protecting Roman newcomers on the Adriatic coast and their economic interests, provided to be well placed, proved to be well placed. The results we obtained from the study of Adriatic hinterland between Jader and Salona clearly indicate that saying the allegations of the ancient historian should be verified. Written sources claim the changes took place in the conquered region, but the whole truth of their narratives can only be confirmed by archaeology, and only if archaeology is in possession of relevant material evidence. Work on this project has also shown that utilization of more archaeological methods could be crucial for the success of such results. So, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Sanadar. It was very useful, and we could learn a lot from your lecture about the military history and military sites in Croatia, a special line of the Roman limes in limited times and so on, but at any rate, it proves that the Roman military research has a great significance, not only on the outer borders of the Roman Empire, but also inside in different temporary cases and so on. And Dalmatia was only almost up to the end of the first century ED, or not exactly. The main point, one of the main and important point in the Balkan area for the Roman army and for the Roman military system. The so-called linear defense was developed at this time, and it meant, of course, that different troops and units were ordered to the limes line, not only among provinces, but also within provinces. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
No, we are, according to the program, at a break, but I would like to propose not to have any break, but I would give the floor for any questions or notes or so if you want, and then after this short discussion time or so, we will go on ahead with the second part of our conference. Please, if anyone would like to ask or say something, it is the time and possibility. If it is not the case, in this case, I would like to ask Professor Josep Guitar Duran, University of Barcelona, and Professor Marta Prevosti, Catalan Institute of Classical Archaeology, to give their common lecture about the Tier 4 centenary program of UAI, a present state of things as according to the title. Please, the microphone is yours.
Merci beaucoup. Nous avons préparé avec Dr. Prevosti cette intervention. Elle la lira parce qu'il a un domaine de l'anglais beaucoup mieux que moi. Alors Martin, vous pouvez commencer.
Merci beaucoup. We would like to thank those responsible for the UAI project, Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani, and its director, Salt Visi, for the invitation to take part in this online conference. It's true that one of the challenges facing the International Union of Academies in the coming years is how to ensure collaboration between the various UAI projects. But in this respect, the use of new technologies can help a great deal. The collaboration is promising between the projects as close as the CLIR and the Tier 4, both focusing on Roman antiquity, based on a geographically structured database and using digital cartography. The Tier 4 International Commission is therefore ready to set up this collaboration in the immediate future. The Tier 4 project, supervised by the International Tier 4 Commission, results from the methodological and conceptual unification of the Tabula Imperii Romani and the Forma Orbis Romani, the Tier 4. Two major projects during the 20th century for the cartographic topography of Roman antiquity. They have been set up as an extensive collaboration between countries, a partnership which today the International Commission aims to maintain and enhance by taking full advantage of new technologies. At present, the project's main aim is to share an online map and gazetteer of the Roman Empire. A huge online digital application is being created, cataloging and mapping all the data available on sites, toponyms, and landforms on the Roman Empire based on precise, reliable, and first-hand archaeological information provided by specialists from the region. The Commission's goal is to globalize and systematize all this information via an online portal, which you have on screen, shared by all the teams involved in the project. One fundamental objective is to link this application with other maps and databases of the Roman world to enrich their capacity and help build up an extensive network of information and analysis. Given the recent emergence of a large number of other projects on Roman topography that are highly specialized in various subjects, the Tier 4 project could seem to have become less relevant. However, our proposal will help to rejuvenate this project. It's an innovative proposal, possible due to the structure created by Tier 4 within the UAI. The Tier project, focused on summary maps, was designed to create maps to a scale of 1 million. The objective of Tier project was to create a scientific map with a gazetteer summarizing the Roman world. The 4 project, on the other hand, was designed to produce more detailed maps. Maps to scale of 125,000 or 150,000, accompanied by site catalogs, gazetteers, on all the features appearing on the maps themselves, as well as scientific analysis with conclusions regarding the corresponding territories. The ultimate goal of the 4 project was to produce an exhaustive collection of all the evidence available from sources of epigraphy and archaeology that can be included on a map. The online 4 will therefore have great research potential. The current online project is actually an enlargement of the CLIR project by means of the FOR project, producing even more detailed mapping. It's like zooming in on some specific regions. Consequently, the FOR can provide a detailed view of specific zones on the CLIR map as an extension for those regions that have been studied thoroughly and are particularly rich in terms of their archaeological documentation. We have created a complex geodatabase to digitize the Tier 4 project data and disseminate it online. This online PostgreSQL relational database allows us to spatially process the project's archaeological data. The application is equipped with a map viewer, that is the map viewer, a public website, an administration website, and a powerful advanced search facility. The system has been created following strict security protocols with an independent multi-user environment. Each country has its own workspace within the database system in order to enter, edit, and search information. In the management application, each team can only see and manage its own data. Whereas on the public website, we are now on the public website, you can see all the information from all the countries, although only in the case of information that has been classified as public. The current project is driven by a new unified methodology. The database is used as an integrated system to store the data generated by each country's archaeological team, and is the result of considerable systematic work regarding all the concepts concerned. Extensive work has been carried out to define and systemize the typologies and elements of sites, chronological periods, citation of ancient sources, and administrative categories. Unified criteria enable data to be compared, as well as producing chronological typological maps of the whole empire or extensive parts of it. Significantly, one of the main objectives established for the Tier 4 online project was to create a powerful search and filtering system. You have it here. For data on archaeological sites. This is essential in order to provide society and researchers with a truly useful platform on the archaeological reality of the Roman era. The application is equipped with an advanced search tab. A multiple choice menu is available to carry out more powerful and complex searches, providing a detailed system in which users can combine all the fields from the database to create personalized filters. Each search produces a map with the results, as well as a list of the sites resulting from the search, which can be downloaded in a CSV file suitable for exporting data to GIS programs, containing records with archaeological and geographical information selected from each site. The unification of criteria regarding the different types of site and the elements they might contain, as well as the use of the same chronological periods, means that highly consistent thematic maps can be created of the whole Roman Empire. This software is now operational in the testing and fine-tuning phase. In parallel to the construction phase, it was agreed that 3 of the teams from the International Commission, the team from the Italian Union of Academies, the team from the Romanian Academy, and the team from the Institute for Catalan Studies would begin to use the application as a pilot test, digitizing the data for their respective territories that had been previously published in paper format, as well as updating the information at the same time. The outcome of this pilot test can now be consulted freely online on the project's website, and its results can be seen today, as well as appreciating its future potential for managing and analyzing documentary and archaeological data from Roman times. Once a region's information has been collected and entered in the database, we have information about all the Roman sites under unified criteria, providing us with a good quality tool to manage scientific data. This will become a key instrument for historians and archaeologists to consult and carry out advanced searches, providing basic information about sites, which is often difficult to obtain outside a researcher's own country of work. This tool will therefore help to advance many aspects of archaeological research. For instance, comparisons between regions, cross-border issues, and specific types of sites. A large number of historical gazetteers and international databases currently include archaeological heritage information on different historical, epigraphic, numismatic, and archaeological subjects. The Tier 4 application can be networked with these using linked open data protocols. We hope this tool will become an essential resource for anyone interested in the Roman world, since it combines open access, the backing offered by Tier 4, and the scientific quality of its data. Combining our archaeological knowledge and historical heritage in an innovative, direct, entertaining, and appealing way will also engage the public at large. As a heritage dissemination and management tool, it can be used for teaching, museums, demos, tourism, outreach, and entertainment. Another consequence of this unification will be to promote the sense of common European or common Mediterranean origin based on classical culture. We would not like to end this brief presentation without mentioning one of the aims of the project on which the International Commission has placed considerable emphasis at its most recent meetings. The Tier 4 online map and gazetteer have great potential for research. Obviously, such research needs to be carried out within each of the Such research needs to be carried out within each of the teams that make up the Commission and in cooperation between them. But this collaboration can also be opened up to all researchers working on related topics or subjects. Along these lines, in 2020, we organized the first Tier 4 symposium from territory studies to digital cartography. The symposium welcomed all researchers interested in the topics and benefited from a considerable number of contributions. The aim is to organize regular symposiums. The proceedings from the first symposium are currently in preparation, a publication which should become available this year. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed for this very informative presentation. We have learned a lot from the system and from the structure of the Tier 4 project. This may be more than only to have a look at the internet and the internet site. of the Tier 4, and I am very grateful for this lecture. I don't know whether Professor Gitar would like to say something, to add something to this presentation.
Giuseppe, you have your microphone mute.
Yeah, yes.
Nous sommes très heureux d'avoir participé à cette conférence du Corpus Limitum Romani et nous pensons que nous devons collaborer beaucoup au futur. Merci pour votre invitation.
Thank you very much indeed, and I do hope that we can cooperate and collaborate on these programs in the future as well, and also with some other scholars working on similar projects and programs. Now I would like to ask Professor Richard Taber to give his presentation about the Barrington Atlas of the Greek and Roman world, the potential advantages of CLIR, creating links with the digital resource, HTTPS, and so on. I could not see Professor Taber, but I do hope.
He's here. He's here.
Oh, yes, very good.
I hope. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming.
My warm thanks to you, Professor Visi, for your invitation to contribute briefly to today's conference. I'm very happy to do so, although I hope everyone will forgive me if I speak rather hesitantly, because it is still very early on a cold, dark morning here in North America.
Oh.
We are behind you. I realize that you may be wondering what connection the Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani project might have as it develops further to the well-known Barrington Atlas, which I edited. One answer you may not be surprised to hear is unfortunately none. Why? Because the Atlas is a completed project which attained its goal, one that was formulated in the pre-digital era at the end of the 1980s. Namely, to offer good maps of the entire classical world bound together in a large printed volume. For most regions, such good maps had never been made before. Even so, all the maps are fixed images that it is no longer practical to revise and reissue in the same form. Instead, for the past 20 years and into the future, mapping can and should be done digitally, with digital technology now making it practical to develop images and databases that build on the foundation laid by the Barrington Atlas. I especially want to draw your attention to the open source online gazetteer and database PleiadesStoa.org. You have its URL on the conference program, and I am very happy to hear Dr. Farkas already mention this resource. Pleiades was created with Barrington's data as its starting point to provide a forum where anyone with new findings relevant to the geography of the Greek and Roman world could freely share them for the benefit of all those interested worldwide. Pleiades continues to grow and to serve as a very visible and accessible resource that is heavily used, one that can publicize and reinforce the work of many relevant projects in the ancient field. As you would agree, in today's interconnected intellectual and technological environment, it is no longer necessary, let alone beneficial, for projects to advance in isolation. To be sure, every project seeks to fulfill a specific, distinct goal. But nowadays, both the design and its implementation ought also to maintain constant concern for what contribution will be made as a result to the larger international research sphere. Needless to say, as again I think you would agree, such connectivity should matter to the Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani, and all the more so in view of the very expansive geographical scope that the corpus is aiming for. If you feel it might prove instructive to gain some insight into the background and thinking which molded my plans for the Barrington Atlas, and also to appreciate my never-ending struggles to achieve them over about 12 years, permit me to point you to my 2019 book, Challenges of Mapping the Classical World. Challenges of Mapping the Classical World, a book published by Routledge, which is available both in paperback and as an ebook. I must warn you that in many respects, this is a disheartening book to read. But I would claim it is also realistic and therefore perhaps a useful record. My own experience and that of many others has shown that ambitious mapping projects are particularly difficult to accomplish. And I'm sorry to say, a notable case in our field of that difficulty has been the Tabula Imperii Romani. Perhaps not now for the future, but certainly in the past. Not least to avoid the kind of setbacks this project has suffered since as far back as the 1930s, I would urge that the goal and design of any project be formulated clearly, thought through carefully, and, dare I say it, limited to what is feasible within not too many years. And that for implementing the project, there be firm leadership, which maintains focus on achieving the goal without becoming diverted or preoccupied with aspects of marginal importance. If a project has to be lengthy, and of course some do have to be lengthy, it strikes me as all the more important that there be a pause for review every couple of years, specifically to gauge progress and to assess, frankly, the value of the work done so far. And of course, for a lengthy project, financial support will need to be maintained, which we might all agree is seldom easy. With this mix of encouragement and caution, I salute the vision and the ambition of the Corpus Limitum Imperii Romani project, as well as the proven expertise of its leaders. And I wish its next stages every success, ideally from now on with greater international visibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tauber. I am very grateful for you for this presentation, and especially that you have been ready to rise and to so early in the morning to give this lecture for us. Thank you again. I do hope that it was very useful for all of us, and your expertise is very important for all of us at any rate, first of all for me. I do hope that also later we can change minds and change some words about this topic, and we can work much more in a higher level on our project on the basis of your expertise made in the earlier years. We are almost at the end of the presentations. The last presentation is from Professor Francis Tesso, University of Bordeaux. He will speak about the CLIR Atlas. Please.
Yeah. Alors, écran partagé. Good morning. Je mets en route mon écran partagé. C'est celui-là. Voilà. Alors, vous m'excuserez, mais je vais parler en français, because my English is disastrous. Donc, je remercie le professeur Vichy et les collègues hongrois de cette invitation. Et j'en profite pour saluer les collègues et amis que je viens de revoir avec plaisir, espagnols, croates et serbes, avec qui j'ai déjà eu le plaisir de parler assez souvent, et on collabore aussi beaucoup avec maintenant Barcelone et avec la CLIR pour Aquitania, pour la province d'Aquitania, à Bordeaux. Donc, présentation très brève d'CLIR Atlas, atlas informatisé de l'Antiquité de l'Illyrie comme ensuite. Donc cet atlas est la continuité de l'Atlas adriatique, l'Adriatlas, c'est-à-dire qui existe depuis 2010. On a choisi donc de définir l'Illyricum comme le fait Strabon, c'est-à-dire toute la partie qui se trouve entre les pays grecs et hellénophones et le Danube. Et ça comprend donc les provinces, en priorité Dalmatie, Mésie, Pannonie, mais aussi ça comprendra ensuite Noricum et Rhétia. C'est-à-dire que la Dalmatie fait déjà partie de l'Atlas adriatique, mais les sites sont en même temps inclus dans l'Atlas d'Illyrie. C'est un atlas qui se compose comme Adriatlas d'une base de données liée à un géoatlas, un WebGIS, et avec une bibliographie. Cette bibliographie se trouve est liée à Zotero, elle s'appelle Illyrizote. C'est une database multilingue PostgreSQL. Le but de cet atlas, comme Adriatlas, c'est de recenser d'abord tous les sites qui se trouvent dans les sources antiques et du début du Moyen-Âge, et aussi tous les sites archéologiques importants. Alors, je voudrais dire que c'est très difficile à définir, c'est très vague, mais au moins à chaque fois, on donne les chefs-lieux, on commence par les chefs-lieux de Civitates, Les agglomérations secondaires, on ne préfère pas employer le mot wiki, hein, on l'emploie seulement quand il est attesté par l'épigraphie ou les sources littéraires. Les sites militaires, quels qu'ils soient, les villets et les fermes, les mines et carrières, les sanctuaires, et puis d'autres sites. Tout ceci peut se faire progressivement. Et on a choisi pour l'instant de faire cela entre le 2e siècle avant Jésus-Christ et le 5e siècle après Jésus-Christ, en commençant donc par la Dalmatie, la Pannonie et la Mésie supérieure. Voilà donc le schéma, hein, le modèle numérique de données, avec les sites, la table des sites, la table de la bibliographie et la table des images. Toutes les tables qui se trouvent en bas sont en projet simplement. Hein. Il s'agit simplement d'un atlas des sites pour l'instant. J'ai pris comme exemple, on retrouve ici la présentation de Myriana Sanader. J'ai pris comme exemple un site qui était à la fois militaire et civil, justement, qui a été traité par Igor Boržić de Zadar, sur Burnham, sur le camp et la ville de Burnham. Alors, je montre rapidement de quoi se compose la fiche, la notice, avec la carte d'identité. C'est un peu la même chose que aussi dans la tire. Hein, et, ensuite, les coordonnées, c'est à partir des coordonnées que l'on inscrit dans la database que les points se placent ensuite sur la carte. Les régions antiques, le statut antique et le type de site. On a ensuite la chronologie par grande période. Alors, il y a une fiche mère et des fiches filles. Et pour chaque grande période, il y a une fiche fille, donc le Haut Empire, l'Antiquité tardive et enfin le début du Moyen-Âge. Et c'est conçu, ensuite, la générale description, c'est conçu comme une notice d'encyclopédie, de dictionnaire. Qu'on a ici, qui décrit donc d'une manière générale d'abord l'histoire, le site et l'histoire de la ville, avec une place à l'historiographie pour savoir d'où viennent nos informations quand il s'agit d'un petit site. Ensuite, on donne les sources littéraires, comme dans la tire-fort aussi, et aussi les sources épigraphiques. Alors, pas seulement les sources épigraphiques qui nomment précisément le site, mais aussi tous les recueils d'épigraphie qui nous renvoient à ce site. Et ensuite, la bibliographie, donc j'ai dit liée à, qu'on peut développer, qui est liée à la bibliographie Zotero-Illyrizote. Vient ensuite une rubrique consacrée au website. Ici, par exemple, on a nommé le National Park de la Krka et une série d'images qui sont sur une table à part, une série d'images. Là, j'en donne le début, donc, enfin, ce que montre Igor Boržić, ici, qui est donc d'abord un certain nombre d'images pour l'historiographie et pour les fouilles actuelles. Il y a aussi une rubrique sur la protection. Est-ce que le site est protégé ou menacé? Et enfin, sur la valorisation, pour faire savoir si le site est visitable, où sont conservés les objets éventuellement, s'il y a un musée à côté. On aimerait ajouter dans ce site des renseignements très pratiques pour le touriste cultivé, c'est-à-dire où manger, où peut-on trouver dans un site rural, à quel endroit, avec un menu déroulant, mais ceci c'est pour plus tard. Et on finit par un deuil, c'est-à-dire que chaque fiche, chaque notice est enregistrée comme une publication. C'est-à-dire que ça peut intéresser aussi, je pense, pour les collaborations, des étudiants en master ou en doc, ou des doctorants sous la tutelle, bien sûr, de leurs professeurs, peuvent éventuellement compiler un certain nombre de ce type de sites. Dans les fiches filles, c'est la même structure, sauf qu'il y a en plus une rubrique qui s'appelle Analyse, avec toute une série de mots-clés. Alors, j'ai montré ici, là, c'est en français, j'ai montré ici, par exemple, la rubrique Fortification, qui est extrêmement sommaire, bien sûr, par rapport, on pourra en discuter, par rapport à CLIR, bien entendu. Enfin, donc, le GeoAtlas, eh bien, on zoome, on a là, donc une vision générale que vous avez vue tout à l'heure, et puis on zoome sur l'atlas jusqu'au point, on peut soit on peut interroger directement en cliquant sur le point que l'on veut voir, hein, donc celui de Burnham par exemple, ou bien on peut poser la question soit avec le nom antique, soit avec le nom actuel pour envoyer à la fiche. Alors, je terminerai en posant la question de la collaboration hein, qui nous a été suggérée. Donc, eh bien, à chaque fois que l'on va faire un site qui comporte des aspects militaires, on renverra à CLIR aussi, hein, si ce site déjà a été traité par CLIR, bien entendu, hein, d'une part dans la description et en renvoyant au website. Et puis, nous invitons nos collègues à participer, collègues de CLIR hein, et les autres collègues de Serbie et de Croatie. Il y en a déjà beaucoup, hein, de Zadar, de Rijeka, de Pula et de Zagreb, à participer, et on a des collègues hongrois, donc à participer à notre atlas. Donc, et je vous remercie pour votre attention. Alors, je reviens.
Thank you. Many thanks, Professor.
Alors, j'arrête le partage de l'écran, peut-être.
Oh, excuse me.
J'ai disparu. Excusez-moi.
Non, tu l'as.
Oh, excuse me, please.
J'ai disparu. OK, bon, voilà.
Je sais pas comment...
Have you finished?
Oui.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Professor Tasso, for this very informative presentation and lecture. Very useful for all of us. I appreciate your work and the work of your colleagues on this very well and highly sophisticated system with lots of data from the literary sources, from epigraphy, and also from the archaeological material incorporated into this atlas of the CLIR territory. It comprises, of course, also Pannonia, and we are ready to cooperate. And I'm personally very pleased to hear this, to listen to this lecture. And I suppose, and I'm convinced that not only the Hungarian colleagues, but also from the colleagues from this region will be ready to cooperate with you and to compile data notions to the system of yours. And of course, also you can take some materials, some data from our work and our database, and so it will be a very useful cooperation in the future. Thank you very much.
Merci.
May I ask the colleagues, everybody, questions or additions, notes? Yes. Then we arrived to the next topic of us, the so-called election of the board members of the program. I mentioned already at the end of my presentation that I think that it would be very useful to have a colleague from every country taking part in the CLIR program. It's 8 countries actually on the CLIR program, and to make some step forwards. I think that it would be very useful if in each country a colleague could take part on a higher level as organizer or helper or somehow so to enhance the work in the country. Of course, as Gergő said, we are ready to provide the database on a higher level, so you will be able to add data and fill the gaps and so on. Previously, I had some conversation with colleagues in different countries, and I don't know whether every colleague of this little group are present or not. But I would like to propose for Austria Professor Andreas Schwarz to take over this membership if he agrees. Dr. Balázs Komoróci from Czech Republic, because on the territory of Czech there are some, not some, a lot of military sites, first of all from the 2nd century AD during the Marcomannic Wars. The same is for Slovakia, where Dr. Jan Rajtar had worked and works also now on different Roman sites and military camps and temporary camps there. And I think that also, if he are ready, if he would be ready to join to this board, I would be very grateful. The same is for Croatia. It's very important, and I would like to invite Professor Mirjana Sanader to join to this board. From Serbia, Dr. Snezana Golubovic may be ready to join and to ask to work with us together. I hope that Dr. Lyudmila Vagalinsky could join to this board from Bulgaria. What is not quite clear for me, and of course it should be decided by the colleagues in Romania, who would be ready to join to this board. I do hope that somebody can take over this task. And as Slovenia belongs to in such manner to the territory of the CLIR, first of all, in the early Roman occupation times, and also at the end of the Roman occupation times. So it would be very important if also in Slovenia could be made this work. And I don't know whether a Slovakian colleague could take over this task. So I don't know, I cannot see the colleagues who are present or not, because my screen is not in this way. But I would like to ask the colleagues who are present whether would they be ready to join to us and to accept this invitation. Now I can see something more.
May I start?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, I'm very pleased and I'm very honored to be on the board, but can I nominate a deputy for those occasions when I will not be able to participate? This is Professor Domagoj Tončinić that was already on some occasions instead of me.
Of course, it is. Okay. Everything is permitted.
Okay, I'm very pleased. Thank you very much that are you thinking on me. And I would like to use this occasion also to thanks to colleague Reiter for beautiful article on my Festschrift. I just told this before to another colleagues, but now is Jan here, and thank you very much, Reiter. Jan, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm finished.
Thank you. Jan?
So I would like to say that our participation, it was maybe some years ago, but in the next time we have a plan to publish some things from our excavation in Asia, and also with cooperation with the colleagues from Czech Republic, from Moravia. We have some articles about the excavation or of these temporary camps in the north of the Middle Danube. It's just published, and we have the idea to the next research of these places.
Thank you. So you can accept this invitation. I asked you can accept the invitation.
Yes, yes.
Of the board.
Sorry, I have not.
Okay, thank you very much. The microphone is yours.
Sorry.
Dr. Snežana Gongović.
I am also very pleased and very honored with this proposal. Of course, I'm together with my colleagues, Nemanja Mrđić, Milica Marjanović, and Ivana Kosanović. We are already starting this entering data into CLIR base. So we are already familiar with this program, and colleague Farkas he's helping us. So I do not see any problem to accept this and to start it. In fact, to finish this job in some future. So thank you once more.
Thank you very much indeed. I can see Professor Andreas Schwarz. Andreas.
Dear colleagues, I'm honored by this proposal to take part in this advisory board, and I accept.
Thank you very much. So at the moment we can do this, and I do hope that the other colleagues mentioned can take this offer and make this easy or not easy task or job. But I do hope that in the cooperation, and I'm sure that in the future, not exactly the CLIR database or the CLIR, but entirely the Roman military research and archaeology in the whole region will be put on a higher level than before, on the basis of this cooperation with you, and of course with the cooperation with other similar programs as we could hear just now. At the moment, I suppose that it's enough about the board. I will clear the case with the other colleagues and countries who can be invited or will take part in this project. Now, somehow at the end of our online meeting, some technical and not only technical issues. First of all, I would like to thank the presidency of the Union Académique Internationale to support this conference, not only in such a manner with words, but also with financial support. We could organize this conference basically under using the financial support of provided by the Union Académique Internationale. But as we have some possibilities, financial possibilities, I would like to ask the colleagues to prepare and send their presentation to be published in conference papers, conference volumes like this. About until the end of June. I do hope that it is possible and everybody will be ready and can send the manuscript, of course, together with pictures and dias and so on, which we could publish as the urn of this conference. Now, before leaving and closing the conference, I would like to thank you all for your taking part on this meeting, on the online meeting, and I do hope that we will be able to meet us soon, also personally, not only using this perfect possibility of the internet, but I suppose it is not the best way of discuss scientific issues and programs. But I hope it could be of useful, and thank you again, everybody, for taking part of the conference.